Well, on open exchange, an 18-month research report by MISTRA on platinum group metals interrogated the significance of the estimated 85% of the world's platinum group metals reserves in South Africa and Southern Africa. The fundamental question is how the use of these mineral endowments can position South Africa and the region to establish a significant downstream PGM-based industrial sector. Now, joining us more for this is Fatima Faraz, who is sustainability consultant at Fado Consultants, South Africa, and Iraj Abedian, Chief Executive of Pan-African Capital Holdings. Let me start with you, Iraj. The paper from the Mapungubwe Institute, now known as MISTRA, everything in South Africa has to have an abbreviation by which it must be named. South Africa and the global hydrogen economy, the role of PGMs, platinum group metals, seems to me this is about beneficiation.
Well, the particular narrow application of platinum as a metal and PGM more broadly to a particular industry, which is hydrogen cells. As you would know globally, it is one of the most promising, possibly the future of many applications of energy, store of energy. And if true, then it will change many industries, motor car industry included.
Give me an exple. You say, as you know. This is very flattering. I don't know. Hydrogen cells, what do they do?
Well, I'm not an engineer or metallurgist, but as an economist, I've been following the role that, or the challenge that we have in heavily urbanized setting of how do we store energy and what are the modalities and what are the metals and alloys that will help us to store energy. And if we can do it, if I can store energy for 3 days, then I can run my car on energy as opposed to the particular form of carbon-based petrol. That's the challenge. And of course, many other areas that we use environmentally problematic forms of energy, we can replace them with the stored clean energy. Okay. So in that regard, hydrogen cells have been under investigation. Scientific research for many years that I've been following it. To the best of my knowledge, Anglo-Plat has been at the cutting edge of investing heavily into this. And this report is in that context. We are the owner of, or endowed with 80% of platinum of the globe. And therefore, we have every interest to look at avenues of using platinum such as...
Okay. Well, let's go to Fatima Faraz. Your focus, Fatima, was the sustainability side of it. What are the issues there?
Well, the primary issue is to address the question of, from a sustainable development and sustainability point of view, what do you do when the mines close or the mines restructure and retrench labor? How do you reintegrate that labor into a different working environment, and what do you also do with the communities that have evolved on the edges of those mining lease areas? And the focus then becomes on what other socioeconomic opportunities can we develop or grow or enable in order to absorb that labor. There are different possibilities. Of course, it does go towards beneficiation. And there are different aspects of that beneficiation. Do we look at downstream beneficiation? What opportunities are there? What are the near-term, mid-term, long-term opportunities? But there's also the upstream beneficiation opportunities. What can we do with the existing mining waste residues and those stockpiles? So there are a number of different opportunities that can be explored, fuel cells being but one of the medium to long-term options. And so that is in a nutshell what the focus is.
Iraj, I mean, I know you have particular inputs. A lot of people took part in this report. But what is your sense of, is something going to happen as a result of this investigation? As you say, we've got the metals, unusually for a commodity that we've got so much of it. We also have, and it's happened in diamonds, an issue around beneficiation where you say, well, why do we export the stuff? Why don't we do more with it here and help the sustainability side of things? But our labor costs are very high.
Well, when we go to beneficiation in the sense of downstream, meaning after the metal has been extracted, it's not just the cost of labor that becomes important, also availability of the regulatory environment, availability of scientific network and research capability. So a whole host of requirements are needed to make success of industries, because beneficiation is not mining, it's industry, it's science. So it requires not only cost-effective labor, but also appropriate labor, meaning skilled labor. So there's a lot of issues. Will something happen? That's why this research is done, to identify what needs to be in place for a particular form of application of platinum, namely hydrogen cells, to be located in South Africa on a globally cost-competitive basis.
Of course, now there is, I think, an instinctive view among some policymakers and some industry players to think that the mining companies are supposed to do this. And the mining companies respond and say, look, we take the stuff out of the ground and we move it to wherever it needs to go for the people who buy it. So the mining companies, whose responsibility is, and in terms of sustainability, is it their responsibility?
I think we need to look beyond mining. Mining is but one contributor to the longer term sustainability, but you've got to get the other actors involved, and it's not only government, it's also the communities themselves and the social fabric around in the areas, and also other industries. You're looking towards the construction industry and so on. Everyone has to come to the party and contribute and agree that it is not just a mining house problem.
Looking, Fatima, at the Amplats issue, and of course what's been highlighted is you've got migrant communities that have sprung up around the mines.
That's correct.
These mines were not conveniently placed when it came to cities. So, as you say, some of them were well settled, others informal settlements, some in squalor. Two families, all sorts of issues, social and financial.
Well, those are clearly beyond just the ambit of and the responsibility of the mining companies, hence the need for the relevant actors all to get together and to agree to work in and define that white space, if I can call it that, in which they can collaborate and work towards something different, a more sustainable or an alternate option for socioeconomic enterprise.
Where's the money going to come from, Miraj? It sounds as if part of the identification here is an identification of opportunity for people who want to invest.
Absolutely. Money, there's never a shortage of money. Let's not make money a binding constraint. The constraints typically in such ventures is, have we got the enabling environment and what it takes to make it sustainable? If the answer is yes, money will come. Money will come from the financial market. If it's not local, it will be international. And that's why putting it into the mining space is actually misplacing it. For 20 years, the notion of beneficiation and the political discourse around beneficiation has been located in the mining space. And it's like locating, making bread and biscuits and all the other goodies that come from wheat and agriculture product, putting it in the lap of farmers, and farmers get a fright and they don't know what we're talking about. So now at least we are shifting the space. We're moving from mining, and my hope is that this research will highlight the fact that one of the national strategic interests of South Africa, because we have such an enormous, disproportionate share of platinum.
Has it got the attention of government? Did government participate in this?
Government, when I was there, the various government departments were present in the meeting, and I have no doubt that as time goes by, not only the attention of government, but attention of mining companies, attention of research institutions, and very importantly, attention of industrialists should be taken.
Yeah. Do you sense governments thinking about this, the sustainability thing? My impression is that they haven't thought about it too much, certainly not until recently with Marikana focusing the mind. It is a mining responsibility or a local municipality responsibility, but it's actually got to be taken more strategically.
I agree. It has to be taken more strategically. You've got to look at it as a sort of a nationwide initiative, a strategic vision, as it were, where you're looking to develop or put in place the framework for an alternate set of socioeconomic opportunities to evolve. So you need that framework, as Dr. Bejan highlighted. But you know, where I think there is clear government interest is in the support for a next step in this, which is a field study, a case study. So we do intend to roll out that in the near term.
Well, it sounds very promising for a change, an academic or NGO type report, which sounds like it's identified realistic issues and opportunities. If the political will is there, and as Iraj says, the money is always there if there's a return to be made or a clear goal in mind. Thanks to them. That was Fatima Faraz from Fado Consultants SA, and Iraj Abedian, who is Chief Executive of Pan African Capital Holdings. And that's it from me. So after the break, it's